Hey everyone, this video is about buying real estate in Costa Rica. I've actually seen that exact title on many people's videos, many vloggers here. What's really interesting is a lot of the people that post about buying real estate in Costa Rica don't own any real estate in Costa Rica. I know these people and I know their pages, and in other videos they tell you that they rent their place and that they bounce around renting places, or they're really satisfied renting a place. Yet they have these opinions on buying real estate in Costa Rica because they want views on their videos, but they've never done it. This is the 95% of people on Instagram saying they're a fitness expert that have never actually worked out or studied anything about how your body works. They just know what works for their body. And most of the time they're just speaking bullshit, to be honest. So in my first 2 months here, I bought real estate in Costa Rica. I bought this property with the house already established on it, and I've been doing a ton of work since. But at the same time, I came into my experience in Costa Rica believing these idiots, these liars, these whatever scam they're running to try to sell you real estate. That's really what's going on. So I'm going to tell you there's 3 types of real estate you can buy in Costa Rica. You can find real estate online, and 100% of these people selling real estate online on websites or on YouTube are scammers. Even if they pretend not to be scammers, they are scammers. And what does that mean? They've been told, hey, there's this property for such and such price. They're not licensed real estate agents, they're not licensed attorneys, they're not licensed brokers of any sort, of anything, any type of tradable asset. These are not brokers, these are YouTubers, these are vloggers, these are failed yoga instructors or wannabe shamans who came down here and realized to be inauthentic in an authentic place doesn't make any sense. So they've just kind of found their way around, and what they know are people, and what they know are ticos probably, or expats that are failing here and want to sell their stuff. So these people, whether it's a real estate site, because there's no centralized real estate MLS market here, if they're a realtor, they might have been registered as a realtor in whatever country they came from, or they learned from somebody that was a realtor and they just decided they're going to sell real estate and buy a button-up shirt and some khaki pants, and they're going to pretend that they're a professional. And that's what it comes down to. Now, I've had the same opportunity, and you don't see any videos of me posting about all the real estate I have access to because I am not a realtor. If a friend of mine is interested in buying property here, I have a pocket full of numbers I can give them, of people they can call who they can buy directly from. Now let me get back to the point. When you see people online, whether it's a real estate company or a YouTube video claiming that they're selling you real estate, it's the same thing I have with a friend who's got 50 hectares who wants to, sell it off. They will give you the base price. You can negotiate that price, but what is not negotiated beneath their asking price is when it's told to one of these YouTubers, when it's told to a real estate agent, and they tack on what they say is market value, which is inflated. It's bullshit. It's nonsense. Market value is not the same in Perita as it is in Uvita, as it is in Jaco, as it is in Dominical, a town over, as it is in Escazú, as it is in Tamarindo. Everything's different, and there's no consistency in the market because everybody makes up their own nonsense. That said, the average price per acre of land around here, I'm sorry, I'm staring at a beautiful, beautiful hawk. It's got like a golden chest instead of white. Maybe you guys can identify that. Gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. Just flew right through my property. So anyway, most of these people are scammers, and what I mean by that is, if you were to call them and get in touch and say, I'd like to pay 10% less than that listed price, they could not give you an answer because they don't represent the property. They might have to talk to 4 other people who actually represent the property because they're helping a friend who's helping a friend who is helping a friend who actually owns the property. And everybody's trying to take $5,000, $10,000, adding it on to that price because the owner said, if you sell my property, I'll give you a percentage. And then every person along that telephone line said, if you sell the property, I'll give you a percentage. And everybody's trying to put their hands in the same pot. So the second type of real estate you get here is directly to the person. So if you see a property you like or a home you like, people don't think they can do this, but you can. You go up to that person, knock on it. Hey, would you like to sell this property? If so, how much? And they say, well, I don't know. Hadn't thought about it. Well, this is what I'd be willing to offer you. And as long as you're somewhat reasonable with what the average market price is for that space of land or the construction that's on the land, they will probably entertain it. I mean, think about that. If somebody came up to you, knocked on your door, you weren't thinking of selling your house, but say you bought your house for $400,000, and they said, I'd like to give you $450,000, you might consider it. It's a little bit of a profit. I could go somewhere else, I could do this, you might start considering selling your house if somebody offers you a little bit more than what you've paid. Think about that. Now, a lot of these people inherited their properties from the grandparents and from generations before, and everything has exponentially increased in value. So they might have in their mind, oh, my grandfather said this property, he bought it for, $7,000 for 20 hectares back in the 1970s. Well, now per hectare he could probably get $30,000 to $40,000 potentially. So you see how that amplifies? So if you give them a reasonable offer, they might say, yeah, that's money for my kids, they can go to college, I can go buy another property and build a house and be happy. Not have to worry about all this extra property and paying people to maintain it and so on and so forth. So that's the second way you can do it, which is very easy and it's very likely to happen here. For example, you came to me and said, hey, you got a really nice property, I'd like to buy your property. I say, I'm not going to sell you my property, but a lot of the properties adjacent to me are for sale if you're interested in buying some. They're not listed for sale, they're not on a website, there's not a for sale sign next to it, but every single one of my neighbors who owns all these mountains around here said, Toby, if you know anybody that would like some land here, I'll sell it and I'll give you, 5% commission on it, whatever it may be. I said, okay, cool. So that's how you get to those first guys. Now the third way to buy property in Costa Rica, from what I've learned, is that there is government-owned property. People that couldn't pay their taxes or couldn't pay their bills or abandoned their houses or maybe invested here and didn't get approved for residency because they were a criminal in whatever country they came from and they got deported. Their investment then goes to Costa Rica. Just similar to like in the United States, the way the banks have manipulated people into convincing everyone they need mortgages, and then when you can't pay your mortgage, the bank then owns your house forever and they just sit on it. And then you can get it at an auction, possibly for much less than the house is worth. Maybe just the difference of the owed money on that mortgage. Possibly. It's unlikely in the United States, but it does happen. And in the United States, it's more likely that the bank is going to buy it back and then sell it on a free market with a subsidiary real estate company that their nephew of the manager has started, because the entire United States operates on criminality, even though it's legal criminality, because they do all this manipulative nonsense, but it's still illegal, and you're a criminal. But yeah, unfortunately for the people in the United States that have been screwed by the banks, they continue to get screwed by the banks when that situation happens. So as much as, I've heard a lot of people in the United States, oh, I'm going to go to an auction and buy a house, or I'm going to get a bank-owned house. I put 4 offers on bank-owned homes when I was buying my first house in New Jersey, and all of them, the bank waited to the last possible day that the sale could have gone on, and then they denied it because my offer was less than the money that they were owed on the mortgage, which was impossible. Like, they literally had $250,000 mortgages on $200,000 houses, so they were never going to make that money back. So that just shows you this criminal sector of the United States is the banking system, and they are taking everything, literally roofs over the heads of their customers. For selfishness. They don't even need it. There's more vacant houses in the United States owned by banks than there are homeless people in the United States, which is sickening. Sickening for a country to have that issue. But anyway, here, the government actually does own these houses, and they will sell them back to people. So that's a third way you can get them. You can look into what the government has in their surplus from what you will call seized homes or forfeited homes, and you can get those for cheaper. The only other thing I'm going to touch upon, and the reason I don't ever discuss this with people is because I am not a believer in mortgages. It doesn't make sense. If you want to own something, you buy it up front. There are systems in place in the United States that have found their way down here, these credit systems and these payment plan financing systems, in which people, yourself, will agree to pay 3 times more over 30 years or 10 years or whatever the length of the contract is, than the money that you actually need in the moment. Now think about that. You don't have $50,000, so you go to a bank and they give you $50,000 that you then in turn have to eventually pay $150,000 back. I know it doesn't make sense when I say it, but when you do it, it seems to make sense to you. So here in Costa Rica, especially as a foreigner, as an extranjero, as an immigrant, we cannot apply for bank loans. So it actually saves us from being fucking idiots. People from North America. Buy your homes and your property with your money. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. That's a rule for life, for everything. But specifically when you're coming to Costa Rica, do not look for financing. You're not going to get it from the banks. And if you get private financing from somebody, they get to name their terms, their interest rate, and they can change things at any time because there's going to be no legal contract binding them to stay legitimate on whatever your handshake deal was. So look for homes that you can afford with the money you have in your account or by liquidating the assets you currently have. Very simple. You don't have to worry about going to the bank and getting screwed and paying more than what you should. It can be very simple here, and I would highly recommend, get an attorney. If you need to transfer your money, do it with a legitimate qualified escrow company, which I have a good one. I believe it's in Perez Zeledon or near San Isidro de General. It's E&T, Escrow and Trust. Very easy to find. They're like legitimate. Andres Tristan Gomez is a really good attorney in Atenas, and he could recommend these guys. I'm sure they've worked a lot together for international escrows and money transfers. So my money made it here legitimate because of these guys. Thankfully, I got set up with the right people. But as far as buying your home, transfer the money, do a cash transaction, and don't get involved with anybody else because then you owe them and you don't actually own what you think you own. Like people in the United States think they own their houses, but none of them own their houses. None of them. Unless they've paid cash for it and the title is completely in their name. And that's the difference, but that's a very small percentage of people from what I've learned. So coming here, those are 3 ways of buying real estate in Costa Rica that are legitimate. If someone says they're going to hook you up because they have connections, ask them to hook you up further because they can. I'm telling you they can. They could be mad I'm sabotaging their profits, but it's nonsense. And what it's also doing is creating an inflation in our market here. For example, my property has almost doubled in value in the 2 years I've lived here because these people are doing this stuff. They're increasing the value because they know people are moving to Costa Rica, but it's not reflecting the true value of the homes. And just like in the United States, it's going to cause a housing crash at some point where people are not going to be able to afford houses anymore, and they're not going to be able to finance these payments that they're signing up for with these exorbitant prices that they're agreeing to on these homes. So take everything with a grain of salt. If you hear a YouTube video that's telling you about real estate in Costa Rica, about buying it, and then they try to offer you some real estate in Costa Rica, don't trust that person. It's a scam. Sorry to call you out on it, but it's a scam. And call them out on it. Hold them accountable. Be like, tell me your connection to this property or this home. What is that person asking for, and what commission are you adding onto it for yourself? And the cool thing is if you don't like them and how they answer your questions or deal with them, look up the property yourself. Contact the government, the municipalidad of the town it's in, and say, hey, I'm interested in buying this house. Whose name is on the plan so I know that I'm buying the house from the right person? And they will probably tell you. Get an attorney to do it. Get an affidavit written by an attorney, and they will get that information for you. But don't trust anybody off the street because everybody's a realtor, everybody represents every property, and everybody's got the best price in town for you. So take it with a grain of salt. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you have any specific questions. I'd be happy to answer them based on my real experience owning and buying real estate in Costa Rica.